The Pentagon and the White House are said to be discussing military options in response to a chemical incident in Syria's Idlib province. That is according to an anonymous U.S. official. This is as the U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says international coalition is being formed to remove Bashar al-Assad from power. Artist Ganajichan has more on the latest statements from Washington.
We're seeing reports in the media that President Trump is being briefed on options for strikes against the Syrian government following a chemical attack near Idlib in Syria, the responsibility for which U.S. officials put squarely on Bashar Assad. President Trump came out to reporters on the plane to say this.
I think what happened in Syria is one of the truly egregious crimes, and it shouldn't have happened, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. I think what happened in Syria is a disgrace to humanity.
Bashar Assad, in the meantime, says that his forces did not launch the chemical attack. Here's the Syrian foreign minister.
Our army has never and will never use chemical weapons against our people or against terrorists who attack and kill civilians. The al-Nusra Front, ISIL and other organizations continue to store chemical weapons in urban and residential areas. And we have sent more than 100 telegrams to the Security Council and to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, telling them about toxic weapons being brought to Syria.
The Russian Defense Ministry earlier said they believe the Syrian Air Force hit terrorist chemical arsenal near Idlib, a stronghold of al-Nusra, which is al-Qaeda in Syria. Russian officials believe that's what exposed people to the deadly chemicals. While offering its understanding of what happened there, Moscow also insists on sending an investigation commission to the site. The U.S. seems to have made up its mind about what exactly happened there, believing that Bashar Assad launched the chemical attack near Idlib. Asked whether the U.S. would organize an international coalition to pave the way for the removal of Bashar Assad from power, the Trump administration, which until recently was saying that the U.S. was not seeking Assad's removal from power, seems to have changed its position.
With the acts that he has taken, it would seem that there would be no role for him to govern the Syrian people. Well, the process by which Assad would leave is something that I think requires an international community effort.
So will you and President Trump organize an international coalition to remove Assad?
Those steps are underway.
In the meantime, U.S. ally Turkey, which has long wanted Assad gone, appears happy with President Trump changing his position on Bashar Assad. Turkey's Erdogan suggested if the U.S. launched an attack against the Syrian government, Turkey will support it. Drums of war are getting louder here in Washington as those who have for years pushed for regime change in Syria, such as Senators John McCain and Lindsey Graham, are calling for action. The question that few seem to be asking here in Washington is why would Assad, regardless of what one thinks about him, launch a chemical attack and risk U.S. intervention at a time when he seemed to be gaining the upper hand in the fight against terrorists and the rebels?
An emergency Security Council meeting on Wednesday failed to produce an agreement on a draft resolution on the alleged chemical attack in Syria. Russia's president has called for a full and impartial investigation into what happened, also stressing that unfounded accusations must be avoided.